Okay, good evening and welcome to the meeting of the North Ogden City Council. We held a skate park design committee in the senior center from 6 to 8 p.m. before this meeting. That's why we're starting a little late tonight. Welcome everyone here. I invite everyone to please make sure your cell phones are on silent or turned off for the duration of the meeting. And then just a friendly reminder for everyone that we do broadcast our meetings on the internet, and they'll also be saved on YouTube. The camera is over here, so please just consider that in your comments. And council, remember to please, and everyone who speaks tonight, speak into the microphone so those online listening can hear. With that, we'll begin the meeting as we always do here in North Ogden City with an invocation and pledge of allegiance. We've asked Councilman Carl Turner to offer the invocation and lead us in the pledge this evening.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful for this opportunity we have to come together as community to discuss soccer and the needs of this community here. And we're grateful for those who have taken the time to come and visit with us and help us with this decision. We ask that thy Spirit will be here with us, that we may be civil and make the decisions that will help this community grow forward. And we ask that you please bless the residents here, that they'll be safe and protected from harm. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Please stand and repeat the pledge with me. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilman Turner. We have first public comments. If there's anything anyone would like to share with the City Council, we invite you forward at this time. Okay, next then we have a presentation by AYSO Soccer. I'll just give a little brief history on this topic. It's really our only topic for tonight, is discussing soccer in the city. It's an important topic. The City Council has had several meetings recently to discuss it. We've had a long-term relationship with AYSO in the city. Many of our children are grandchildren, and currently several of my children are in AYSO. And the City Council began to have some discussions within about the last month and a half when it appeared that our local AYSO organization was not going to have the volunteers necessary to continue the operations. And the City Council considered that and decided that the council would be willing to authorize the city to begin a soccer program in that absence, not for any, I don't think, any specific problems or something was the cause there, but more wanting to continue to have that program available for the youth of this community. Subsequent to that, we've heard from some AYSO leaders that they feel they will be able to continue with the soccer program, and so we invited them to come this evening and discuss that with the City Council and answer some questions the council will probably have as well. So with that introduction, I'd like to invite Travis Braden, who is the area director for AYSO, to please come, and you can introduce anyone else that you'd like to be part of your presentation, and then we'd like to have you do your presentation, and then the council will probably have some questions for you as well. Thank you.
Certainly. Thank you for this opportunity. I'd like to introduce Mr. Stephen Van Wagener. He is the Area 9R Secretary, but he is also the Regional Commissioner for Region 351, which is just directly south of here, Central Ogden, which is, of course, a neighboring region offering help and support in this. Did you all receive a copy of the presentation, the letter that we've put together today?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I won't read the entire thing. I'll just touch on the bullet points. We have, as mentioned, had a relationship with North Ogden since 1980. So going on 40 years now. We've had a very strong relationship since 1980. I obviously haven't been around since 1980, but during my 15 or so years that I have been involved in the local area, the program in North Ogden has been very strong. And the reason it was, or the reason it is because of the volunteer base that we talked about. We were the first to, we've been around since 1964. We've been providing quality youth soccer programs to the United States since 1964. We were the first to add girls soccer in 1971. And we developed our VIP, which is players with disabilities, way back in the mid 1970s. So we're going back almost 40 years, being all inclusive and everyone plays, and inviting anyone and everyone who wants to be a part of AYSO to join with us. As you can see, in 1988, we had small-sided games. And as recently as this month, our national coaching program curriculum, as you can see, was reaccredited by the National Committee for Accreditation of Coaching Education. And what that means is that we are doing things the right way when we coach. This is very scrutinized. They don't hand out this accreditation just to anyone. And so that says something about the quality of the program and the quality of the coaches that we want to put forth for you and your children and your grandchildren and all of that. There has been a long tradition between both groups to bring world-class youth soccer. The North Ogden community and AYSO working together since 1980. While the current region leaders may not be able to continue in their roles in providing soccer, and I'm not going to get into that, and I'm not going to talk about decisions that have been made and whether they were given approval by AYSO. I'm not here to throw anybody under the bus. What's been done is done, and we, as the area director, we just want to move forward. And so we do believe that we can ensure the ongoing partnership between North Ogden City and AYSO. And we can do that together, and we can also bring in the National Recreation and Parks Association partnership and public awareness and importance of play, health, and wellness, and potential for working agreement with city staff and AYSO volunteers. We will provide area and section. The grassroots level is a region. So when you hear about a region, it's usually a local community such as North Ogden. An area is a group of regions then that are made up over a wider geographic area. My area, 9R, encompasses all of northern Utah from Bountiful to the Idaho border, and east to Wyoming, and east to or west to Nevada. So we've got a huge support network that we can call on. Also, a group of areas then makes up a section, and we are Section 9, and we've got some very dedicated staff in the section who are willing and able to provide the support and the help that is needed. So I will go to there. Yeah, I will go to there. Mr. Van Wagener is going to pick up where.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, so Stephen Van Wagener, Area 9R Secretary.
Mayor and council members, thank you so much for your time this evening. Again, my name's Stephen Van Wagener. As most of us do in AYSO, we get involved because we have little kids and we get begged on to start coaching. 10 years later, you wear multiple hats, and I'm here this evening as area secretary. I initially came up with your city recreation department, called the mayor on the telephone. Thank you for your time last week, and all of you for coming together tonight and away from your families. All the wonderful things that are AYSO are out there in our communities. They have been forever. What I'm going to talk about tonight is more or less the plan of how we are able to continue this program forward and make sure that it is as strong as possible in serving the community. So number one is to ensure AYSO Region 287 is serving the community by building back up the leadership on the local board. Travis mentioned some of those things. We're going to start immediately. We've reserved the space at the North Ogden Senior Center for April 22nd, 2017. We're going to get bodies there as a volunteer recognition. We're going to listen to them. Often when our volunteers disconnect, it's because they're not being heard. And so the first thing we want to do is we want to know what they need to do, what they need to better support the program. As stated, that's set up for the 22nd.
at that meeting, we are going to have, or Travis and the area staff is going to appoint a somebody that's already a trained regional commissioner. They may not be an active regional commissioner, but at least they are a trained regional commissioner that is going to shadow a new regional commissioner for this area. We don't have any regional commissioner at this point. Mary Beth has been the commissioner, but we will find one. And that regional commissioner is going to have the support, as Travis touched base on. And even more so, we're going to make sure that the regional board that we surround that commissioner with is all trained. We have training in every discipline, from our child volunteer protection advocate to our safety and fields advocate to our coaching administrator, regional ref administrator. We have training for all of them. And often, such as myself, I was involved in AYSO for 5 years before I knew some of that training was available. We're going to make sure all of your community knows that training is available, and that is something that the region pays for. That is not a cost that's passed on to your members. Additionally, we are creating advisory board positions. The 287 region encompasses North Ogden City, Harrisville, and Pleasant View. We're also going to invite Weber County school districts. We're going to do that because of the shortage of soccer fields. And we know that as there is more of a demand for soccer fields, that we need to open up the community and the stakeholders and the buy-in. It is important that we work together to utilize the brain trust and decision-making collectively. It is also important that we share resources to best serve the community and avoid duplicating efforts. Moving on to the back page, number 2, ensure AYSO 287 is working more closely with the city recreation departments of Harrisville, Pleasant View, and North Ogden City. It was immediately apparent when I walked in and talked with Tiffany that there has been a disconnection in communication. They get asked questions, they don't have the answers. We've already started on with a plan of how to better communicate with the community. The first thing AYS is going to do is better communicate, offering program details to those city rec departments. We're going to deliver handouts and flyers so that way when your community members go into those recreation departments, they're not left saying, what, we don't know. They're going to be able to hand them something if approved by that recreation department. We've already started on building a new management system that will be launched on April 1st. This new management system is something that's been coming for a lot of heavy lifting for about 2.5, 3 years at the national level. It's going to make our regional execution, our coach management, and our overall communication increase tenfold. We're going to have the abilities with this new communication tool. If we get notified by the cities that the fields are too wet, we can set out an immediate text broadcast to our members to let them know no soccer on that field. It's a retention pond. We're going to trash it. That is a concern as cities we all have, and so we want to make sure we address that. This, as stated, it will include the rainy day. We'll make sure this. We're also going to make sure the city recreation directors are honorary members in the new system, so they are included in all communications and correspondence. Again, trying to increase that communication with our cities and our members. Number 3, we're going to build a stronger lines of communication to better serve the citizenry. And I've already kind of touched base on some of those things, but in addition to biannual updates to city councils. You want to know what the program is doing. You want to know that there are 1,200, 1,300 kids, your constituents, in this program supporting it, and how can we, again, work together to make that better. We don't know if this is available here, but one of the things we'd like to do, if possible, is work with the city to send out a mailer in the water bills. We will also provide links to program details, promote the city's desires voiced through the advisory board member positions previously mentioned. Number 4, we're better organizing field use agreements with our major stakeholders. I've come to find out there are no field use agreements in place. And so that's hard for recreation departments to know when fields are being utilized because there is no it's gray. We're not sure when AYSO is running on the fields. We're not sure when baseball needs the fields, and there are so many demands on those fields that we would like to, of course, do that. Field use agreements would include, of course, an insurance certificate endorsing the city. All of our other regions have already, for the most part, have this in place, and so this is nothing new that we'd be doing. We'd just be updating the processes here in your region. Again, we've learned that there is a shortage of soccer fields up here, and so we want to express a sincere thank you to North Ogden for the great partnership by providing soccer fields since 1980. We understand with the growing youth sport market that the field space is becoming less available and under higher demand. AYSO is for the kids and 100% not-for-profit program. We don't charge the higher fees as some clubs and don't have the budget to compete for field space. We can, however, ensure that we will be good stewards and use the opportunity to use fields in our city as a learning mission to help children and parents be more respectful of their open space. We have programs such as the Kid Zone. We leave the fields cleaner than the way we found it. These are all practices we already have in AYSO. We just need to do a better job implementing them with the leadership here in this community. To afford the space, field space fees increase to North Ogden City. AYSO 287 will raise the player fee starting April 1 to $80. And with that, we'd like to thank you this evening for your time and the partnership of roughly 37 years. So again, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Van Wagener. And I've just got one question to start things, and then we'll see what else is on the council's mind. My biggest question, and we appreciate all the years that we've worked with AYSO as well, is can you get the volunteers for the program? And that's a sincere question. I've been watching this unfold for about 6 months because I have several children right now in AYSO, so I'm on the email list. Sure. And I've seen the multiple emails from Mary Beth Ford, the regional commissioner, reaching out, asking parents, saying, we don't have a commissioner, we don't have someone to continue. I've received them at my personal email account. Sure. So I know she's made an incredible effort to find volunteers. I know in my household, I don't have the time to step forward and do that.
What?
So I haven't. And we understand others had not at the time the city council made their decision, despite, I think, great efforts by the commissioner to find the volunteers. It's wonderful. I'm impressed that AYSO has so many volunteers to do the work. I believe you're a volunteer, so I mean, that's incredible. My hat's off to you. I just wonder, is that, are there going to be the volunteers to do this particular program when there were 6 months of efforts to parents? I know because I got them, the contacts, that didn't produce enough volunteers to step forward. How now will volunteers step forward? And that's really what drove the council's decision for you to know that we saw a program that had tried to get the volunteers and just wasn't succeeding in getting those volunteers.
Sure. I'm going to answer this question as a regional commissioner. I came into a region that had 2 board members, 1 ref, and a commissioner that was doing everything. When I became commissioner June of 2015, I was handed a skeleton with nothing there. Within a short period of time, we've been able to build that board up to over 40 members, a trained coaching staff across the board of about 140 volunteers, and dedicated board members that have actually signed on to my board for 2 years. I didn't do anything special. I went out to the soccer fields. We all get the emails, and believe me, AYSO sends a lot of emails. And if you're anything like me, they get junked as fast as they come into the box because there's so many of them. We often disconnect from the email. When you're a face-to-face with your community on the soccer field on Saturday, and you're not presenting this as a huge, catastrophic mission, I've found that good energy attracts good energy, and it starts to build up, and it becomes contagious. I'm not saying that that's going to continue to work here, because what I found is there's volunteer fatigue in any of our communities in Utah. We dedicate ourselves to our churches, to our communities, to our soccer programs, and usually it's the same people that just go from group to group to group. But the reality of it is we can do it. And not that we're not going to have challenges. We understand those challenges, but the city's also going to have challenges in that same area. And what we've found with other cities that have branched out and tried to do this is the limited volunteers that were there when it was AYSO disappear really quick when they think the city is going to pay for somebody else to do it, when that may not be the reality of it. So yes, there will be challenges, but we'll get up here. We're going to get out to the soccer fields immediately with Travis's area support staff. We're going to start, meeting and greeting and seeing how bad is it. Just how bad is it? But coming from a region that started with such minimal and building it up in a short period of time, I know we can do it.
Thank you. Council, what questions do you have for Mr. Van Wagener or Mr. Braden?
Anything to add? Did you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I would echo Mr. Van Wagener, and I'm not standing here with my area director shirt on feeding anybody a party line. I really believe that we can build that volunteer base. As Mr. Van Wagener said, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be overnight, but I really do. And I think the event that we're planning on April 22nd will go a long way to doing that. I will be there. All of the area staff will be there. And individuals who may be sitting on the fence or maybe, telling us or telling Mary Beth that they don't have the time or they can't volunteer or anything like that, they'll get to see us and they'll get to meet us. And, putting a face to some bureaucrat out there often does the trick, or at least I think it does do the trick. And so, yeah, we have 1,200 players, 1,300 players registered in this region. And among those, I know there's volunteers out there. And so I'm confident, just as Mr. Van Wagener is, I'm confident that we can do it if we just, put our nose to the grindstone and make the effort. So,
Councilman Satterthwaite.
How many, let's see, there's how many regions in your area?
13.
And they go from Bountiful on the south, still in Utah, into Idaho,
Idaho border.
and then go east and west.
Yes, North Salt Lake is actually the southern border, and then it goes. I've got 2 regions in Wyoming, western Wyoming, and then north to Idaho, and then west to Nevada. Now, that's not saying that's the geographic area. The furthest north region we have is in Brigham City, and so there's a much bigger geographic area than there is actually, regions. But yeah, I have 13 regions in that area.
And of the $80 that is planned to charge the kids or the, so how much of that $80 stays at local and is applied to our local program?
$17.25, right? Yeah, we are responsible to pay a fee to the national AYSO for $17.25 per player. After that, then it all stays within the regions. And so that's why you will find a varying regional fee. You might find something, $80 here, $70 there. Each region makes up its own budget and determines what it needs to operate. But after that $17.25 is paid, yes, that all stays within the region.
Can I step in?
Yeah.
Okay, so Area Director Commissioner, the fee to national is $17.50 per player. You've got roughly $22 to $25 per player in uniforms. You've got some additional field fees, ref fees, other things that come out to roughly just under $60 per player. That is the true cost per unit per player.
But that's paid. That money's used for that player.
Yeah,
I
yes,
think his
precisely.
question
That money is used for the player and it's put back into the program, obviously. But then I think the question was what is the additional monies put back into the program? So that amount, those additional monies are paid for coach trainings. There's renting meeting space. There's a variety of costs that come up. I would like to, if I may, there was a presentation given with the Parks and Recreations, and it compared the AYSO costs to the NOC estimated costs. I'm referencing this here, which I believe was presented at a previous city council meeting. I don't know, maybe there was a typo in the creation of these numbers, and it shows that the program runs a deficit. The program does not run a deficit. The player uniform shipping costs, I think they maybe put an extra 0 in that category. And so it says 10,000, but that's impossible. There's unless we're ordering one uniform at a time and shipping it overnight, that's an impossible number, and it's actually close. It's 1,000. So that's a $9,000 difference in that bottom base number, bringing that to a positive unit. And so that's an important note when we're looking at the program. How do we support our volunteers? We support our volunteers by running a program that doesn't lose money.
So I just did the math, and so if we take the $1,750 off of the $80, you said there's 22 to 25 for uniforms and then 60 for fields, and so the 22 plus 60, we're already over 80, and you've got to give $1,750 to national.
No, yeah, in that total 60 number was field fees. And that's an approximate number. That's gonna vary depending on region. The total number per cost per unit player is in between $50 and $60 per player.
That includes
Total.
uniforms?
That includes uniforms, yes,
So there's about $20
per player.
extra.
Yes.
Because the $80, so.
Correct. And then we do have trainings. We call those expos. That's where we get coach instructors. That's where we get our coaches higher train, our advanced coaches train. That's where we do higher ref instructing. And so those are additional costs to a program to support it. And that roughly $20 per player is what pays for those types of
So the $60 includes the $1,750 that goes to national?
Yes.
Okay.
Let me just, a couple of years ago, I brought this up to the city council, the AYSO, and so I did quite a bit of research on AYSO. In just a short period of time, they doubled their staff and doubled the size of their buildings in California. One of their bylaws nationally is that any partner with AYSO, which would include us and parents, at the time of registration is supposed to receive a detailed budget. We have never had a detailed budget in this council to review to see what you're actually spending and what your budget is going forward. Can you guarantee me that I'm going to get a budget by April 1st when you're going to?
Can't do it. We can't promise it by April 1st, but annually that is due to the national office by June 1st. By June 1st. So annually that is.
You have to have it in. My research was you had to have it in by sometime in May so that they could have their budget out by June 1st. And so I think,
Our deadline's June 1st, but I guarantee you that we will deliver you an itemized budget annually whenever that is submitted to our area staff and our national office.
another thing I'd like to address is we have the parks that are being used in Pleasant View and North Ogden and Harrisville. There's 3 different types of agreements with the cities. As I researched it, Harrisville striped the parks, and so they supposedly didn't charge AYSO to use the parks. We charged something for parks, and Pleasant View charged so much an hour. So our parks got used more because there was a difference in what was negotiated with Pleasant View. So, I think we need to have some kind of a program that would make it equal and fair to all of the communities that are in the area.
Well, I would urge council to not charge anything, but with that said, the tough thing with the parks is it is based on obviously different cities. As you stated, Pleasant View, I might get them mixed up. It's only been 2 days since I've been doing the field use agreements and talking with these cities, but we can get one field for, 3 fields. I believe it was in Harrisfield for $50 a day in the retention pond there. I'll go meet with Mr. Brian Fife here tomorrow in regards to that. I'm also gonna speak with Allison in Pleasant View and figure out what we can do for more fields there. But another huge stakeholder in this program has got to be the school districts. And so I've already started meeting with school principals today, and we've already got 3 schools signed on to more parks. So we understand the dilemma with parks. It's happening in every city. I understand. And so whatever you as a council feels that is appropriate to charge, you're charging your citizenry. So whatever your citizenry is going to let you charge them. The fees are going to go up based off of costs. That's it. Our goal is to keep costs affordable so everyone can play.
Now, if you have registration going on in April, and your national bylaws call for every player's parents to receive a copy of a budget at the time they register, then we can't wait till June for you to have that copy of budget because you're supposed to provide it to the player at the time of registration.
We can always supply the membership year 2016. So we can't supply the proposed budget for membership year 2017, which begins on August 1st, but we can supply last year's budget for membership year 2016.
Well, can't we use this as a framework at least? I mean,
I think what what Member Uri is looking for is a specific budget from AYSO.
We want to see where this money's going to. Another thing that it may come out of their $17.50, but AYSO donates, and at the time I did the research, it was $1, I think, per player to the Olympic soccer team.
We are a premier partner with U.S. Soccer and U.S. Youth Soccer. So I don't know that. I can find out for you, though.
I think we need a detailed budget of where you're going to spend the money. You can make a budget whether the money's already spent or not. In fact, the budget is a plan to spend the money, not a record of where you spent the money.
Correct.
So you could come up with a budget even though it's not due till June 1st.
I think we could achieve that.
I know we can achieve that.
Okay.
I mean, why not? That's not an unreasonable request, is it, Steve? I don't know.
The moving component to this is field fees, Trav.
Right.
So we have a moving target right now on field fees, depending on how North Ogden City proceeds this evening with their recreation department. We'll further determine that. And so we do have some moving targets in here, and as fast as we can nail them down, Councilmember Uri, we'll get those numbers to you directly.
Yeah, I don't think that's unreasonable. So,
Councilman Swanson?
Yeah, let me start with a statement that I'm very disappointed in the lack of response up to this point. Very disappointed. As Mayor Taylor mentioned, this has been going on for at least 6 months. One of the comments I've made repeatedly in our council meetings as we've talked about AYSO was my fear that what would happen is exactly what's happening, that we would finally get enough of you guys and we would say we're going to do our own program, and then all of a sudden the white horses with the shining knights in shining armor would come riding in, and where nothing has been accomplished for 6 months, all of a sudden you guys would have an answer overnight. And, well, let me finish, okay? And so I'm really disappointed that for 6 months, the region director has been trying to get help from local volunteers, hasn't been able to, and it doesn't look like you guys have done squat, frankly. And nothing's happened. And now all of a sudden, when you're looking at losing a region, all of a sudden you've got 100 answers. So the questions I have is, where's this been and why now? What changed in the last week?
It hurts me as much as it hurts you, and I think that Travis...
It hurt me a bit.
Well, it hurts us to hear you say that, and I think that Travis would agree with me that it hurts to hear you say that. We've just learned about this on Wednesday. We just learned about this on Wednesday. The letter that we just got on Wednesday morning from Tiffany was the first we have seen of this letter.
So you're telling
As a
me
re-
that
as
Mary
a-
Beth Ford has said nothing for 6 months? I can't believe that.
Well, in fact, a report we got that when she was having a meeting at the library, and I think it was, and the report that I think she gave to us, if I remember right, Mayor, was that she and her husband were going to be out of town, couldn't make that meeting, and they asked for support from the region. And they got somebody from the region showed up. I don't know if it was Travis
Area? Was
or
it-
somebody. It was Travis showed up, and there were 6 people that showed up or
So
something
you
like
knew
that.
then what we're dealing with?
I've known, well, I've been talking with Mary Beth since probably October, November, okay? But I have not gotten any indication from Mary Beth, nor have I given Mary Beth any indication to approach the city council and basically hand over the program.
We're not saying that she did. Let me cut you off there. What's happening is Mary Beth came to us because since you've known about this since October, nothing's been done. And as her tenure's getting ready to end and the soccer season and registration's getting ready to begin, there was no region director, there was no board, there was no support, there was no program. And nothing she did, including contacting you, you just admitted you've known this since October, none of the cries for help have been answered until the city takes the impetus. She didn't come to us asking. We've been talking about AYSO and giving you guys the boot for quite some time. This isn't new amongst the city council. This just kind of was the straw that broke the camel's back. And the problem that I have is, if we hadn't made the decision that we made last week, you guys still wouldn't be here. Mary Beth would still be where she is. The region would still be floundering. We still wouldn't have a program that's going to start April 1st, and you guys would still be just as clueless and uninvolved as you've been up to this point.
Well,
So-
and
so
the plan doesn't have any substance to it to get anything going until we're 3 weeks into April. And then we hope people show up.
Okay. Again, I have been working with Mary Beth since October. I have been doing my job as area director. Okay. I have not, again, given her any indication to come to the city council meeting.
We're not saying
Okay.
that you did. What we're saying is you didn't give her the support that was necessary. The region was floundering and about to fail. And as a last-ditch effort in her dedication to the children, she came to us and said, what can we do? Since October, you've known that she was leaving. Since October, you've known there wasn't a replacement. Since October, you've known that there wasn't enough volunteers. And since October, you've done nothing. You have fulfilled your role as an area person, and you've done nothing to help a floundering, failing region.
Okay,
So-
that's incorrect.
Okay, so what have
All
you
right.
done?
I have talked at length with Mary Beth in person on the phone.
Okay,
Okay.
and so beyond that, what have you done? She says, I'm leaving, I'm not going, I have no volunteers, I have no one to replace me. What did you do to get someone to replace her?
Okay. I attended the meeting on February 20th.
Okay, and
Okay.
on February 20th, when 6 people showed up and there were no parents, what did you do beyond that to get, and I'm sorry to be so argumentative, but you guys have done nothing since October. You've known since February 20th that we were lacking in people who wanted to volunteer. I don't know if you were just depending on Mary Beth to pull a rabbit out of a hat somewhere and that somebody would magically show up, but I don't think you really cared until the city said, you know what, we're going to take the
No.
program away from
Okay,
you. That's
I've-
just what it looks like.
All right. I've cared. Okay. I've sacrificed time, lots of time, on the phone with Mary Beth in person. Okay. I'm not clueless. And I have not done anything. Okay. That is incorrect.
Okay, so you have done things. Then let me rephrase that by saying the things you have done have not borne fruit. They've not come to anything, any kind of resolution, anything that would help the region. So your efforts have been fruitless.
I mean, we just need something we can count on. We've got
and so what-
1,300 kids out there.
The reason
and-
I asked that question is because what guarantee you've been able to accomplish nothing since October. And now you're telling us that you can have something together running nice and ready to go in 3 weeks. And I just find that very hard to believe, that a problem that you knew was coming, that couldn't be solved in 6-7 months, that suddenly, now that we're going to do our own program, you can fix in 3 weeks.
We're not.
I understand what how you're perceiving this, and as a regional commissioner, we have area meetings. The current regional commissioner did not participate in those. Travis is a new area director. I'd like to give him credit for that because he took over somebody else's position and has kind of had this plop in his lap. And so, although he was at the other meeting, he was still in an acting role. He is brand new, hitting this road running. His first meeting said, we need to make sure our regions are working closer together and know that there's support from the area staff. Those are in minutes. We would be proud to show you those minutes. They're open to the public. In that meeting, it was determined that Region 351, Region 151, South. That's let me back up. Region 151, South Ogden. Region 351, Ogden. Region 287, North Ogden. Region 422, Huntsville, Eden, and Region 138, which are our neighbors to the north in Brigham. We're all going to work closer together. Of those 5 regions, those four commissioners have reached out. All of us have reached out to Mary Beth since our January first quarter meeting. Okay, we've all been trying.
Can I ask how you reached out? I mean,
text, email, and
well, but
phone.
here's what I would have done. Okay, if I knew she was leaving, certainly you have a database of kids who've been playing and who their parents are. I would have gotten on the phone. I would have asked her recommendation, who are parents that I might contact. And then I'd have got on the phone and or gone to their house and met with them personally if I really cared about the program.
And I agree. And I misspoke earlier because I didn't know that this has gone on since October. I'm just finding out about it on Wednesday. I'm just finding out about it. And I can only do so much. I've been up here every day since trying to make something, get some traction. And in this just short period of time when, I was told by Mary Beth, there's no way, Steve, that the school district is going to let you use fields. I have 3 schools ready to go. So I'm just saying that.
But do they have permission from the district itself? I mean,
it just takes a little bit of proactiveness, and I would urge the council to give us an opportunity to be proactive. And I see from your standpoint, council member, that we are up here being reactive, and you're absolutely right.
Well, you're being reactive now. What you're telling me to give you a chance to be proactive, and I'm wanting to know, where have you been proactively for the last 6 months? The proactiveness seems to have been, well, we are expecting Mary Beth Ford to take care of everything, to find her replacement, to find the board to support her, and you kept reaching out to Mary Beth, and you kept reaching out to Mary Beth, and when you didn't get a response from Mary Beth, why did you keep reaching out to Mary Beth? Why didn't you take care of things?
She's the leadership. And the way you got to understand the way that the structure is set up, that she is the leadership here, and
she has no oversight, no one above her that can come in and say, Mary Beth, this isn't working. You don't have. I don't believe that at all.
She is the signer to the account. She's got the access. We've already started trying to get access to the emails, the email system, her website, all of this. That's how it works. It may not be a perfect system, but the regional commissioner carries the entire load of that program in that region. And I know I do it. Travis has done it for 14 years for South Ogden. We're neighbors.
Let me get Councilwoman Stoker.
Jump
She
in
hasn't
here right
been in
now?
yet.
Yes, Councilmember.
Okay. As I'm sitting here listening to all of this, it's just like, it is a runaround. You, in my opinion, you're doing a snow job. Now, you know what the council's asking you. So I don't want to hear what Mary Beth did, what Mary Beth didn't do, why you weren't there. She's not here to add her 2 cents to this. So tell us what you're going to do. Give us a plan, not the runaround or the whitewash. I mean, I can read what you've got on here, but it tells me nothing what you're going to do. And that's what Councilman Swanson wants to know. Tell us what you're going to do. plan.
Councilmember Stoker, we were called last night.
I don't want to hear that.
and
I
we
just
are
want to
here
hear your
today.
plan. I
We're-
don't want to hear last night how it was. I want your plan.
Alls I can reference is the plan overview that I've provided to you.
So I would say that part of this, I think, part of your plan, you have some budget for training people. I think my opinion is that part of that training ought to be how to recruit volunteers and how to help people, and maybe that is part of the training. But I don't see
you're
the fruit.
absolutely
But I
right.
don't see the fruits of that training here. You know, and you know what? I'm not going to put. I don't know how long Travis has been in the position. Not very long, evidently. You're saying he's brand new in it, but you can't just throw somebody into that position and say, "Hey, sink or swim." You got to have some kind of guidelines to run this program, and I don't see that.
We have amazing guidelines, and I can get you links and plans. If you give me more time, I can provide you our entire curriculum. It is all set up to support the volunteer. If it wasn't, I wouldn't have been doing this for 10 years now.
So,
I think
so
our
the
biggest
follow-up.
fear is that it, when it's supposed to come to frugality with these kids to play, that the volunteers won't be there. I think that's our biggest fear, or my biggest fear, that
How can the city ran program change that? Are the volunteers going to run a program of 1,200? You're going to need 160 coaches.
This is true.
Are they going to become running saying I'm volunteering? That's not the reality.
Some of the
Frankly,
people
from
will
what
be
from what
employees.
I'm hearing is what the city will offer is an organization that has some oversight, so that when you have a person that's in a position like Mary Beth Ford, and those that are overseeing that person will have some vision, so that when October rolls around and you know you're losing your region director in 6 months, and 2 months goes by and you still don't have a replacement named, and another 2 months goes by, that somebody will be stepping in and saying, okay, I'm your supervisor, I'm your oversight, I'm the Parks and Recreation director, I'm taking over. We're going to find out because it's obvious that you're not getting it done. You keep talking about all the support that Mary Beth had, that you had for the volunteers, and yet there isn't a single bit of support other than maybe some text messages and some emails as she's been trying to fill this position. Where's the support been? For 6 months. That's what I want to know.
What would you have preferred that we done? Let us learn from
I can
this.
tell
because
you
when
in my business experience, when I've got a middle manager underneath me and there's a task that needs to be done by April, and come October, nothing's been done, I'm going to ask, why hasn't anything been done? Come January, now the deadline's getting tight, I'm going to ask, why hasn't anything been done? And when February 20th rolls around, and I've got a month and a half before this is due, and we should have been working on it for 6 months, and nothing's been done, I can guarantee you that I'm stepping in place of that lower manager, and we're making sure that it gets done. I don't sit and wait until one of my vendors or one of my competitors comes in and says, we're going to take the business from you, and then I come running in with all these plans and everything, and what I should have done 6 months ago, all of a sudden I can do in 3 weeks.
I agree with you.
There doesn't seem to be any oversight or any backup to your regional person. At least there doesn't seem to have been. And so my overarching question is this: what happens to the kids when you guys fail, which you just are on the cusp of doing? If we hadn't made the decision that we made as a city, you still wouldn't be involved. You wouldn't have a plan for things to be working in 3 weeks, and the kids are the ones that are going to pay. So how do I know that I can trust you to do that? And what happens when you don't? Not if, but when, because you were already there.
Well, first, you're right. We wouldn't be here unless this council made the decision they had, because the chatter wouldn't have started and it wouldn't have got back to us in the manner that it did. We wish that we had done everything that you said, and as a businessman, I would have also proceeded in the same way and fashion that you just laid out. In the volunteer world, it's a little bit more difficult, and regretfully, Mary Beth, she didn't have the support around her. She is a wonderful woman that has done great things for this program and has dedicated probably thousands of hours. I wish she would have got the support sooner. I wish she would have. I wish we were here sooner. I wish we were here building and doing all the things that I presented to you in that plan this evening, because when we extend an advisory board position to the recreation department, now we're hearing more or less the administration's and the council's concerns directly. We can act more nimbly and be proactive rather than being in here chasing our tail this evening.
Let me interject here, or is there more you were saying? I'm sorry, I thought you were.
No,
okay.
Mayor.
I think, honestly, that's probably the best thing you could have said right there. I'm happy to hear that perspective. I think I'll just try and summarize, I think, this whole point and then move us forward from here. This is an important, discussion from the council, because I think some of the feeling among some of us, or based on some of the comments, was there was some suggestion that our current commissioner maybe, hadn't done everything, which that doesn't go very far with us, because we have very high respect for her, the work she's done, the effort she did make. So I appreciate what you just said in recognizing that, and that there were some shortcomings, and she should have had, more support and things. So I think that's great to hear. And I think now that's answered. So where from here, council and AYSO staff, where to go from here? Okay, and it looks like we have another parent that'd like to speak as well. That is fine, council, with me.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, so if you just please give us your name and address at the
Okay.
start.
Rachel Hedgepeth. My address is 936 East, 2825 North, North Ogden. So I am actually representing Mary Beth. She is working, and I am on the board with her, AYSO board 287. I have put in so many hours as well, volunteering hours. I started out doing, helping create teams and that. They just give you a box and say, these are you 12 boys, create this many teams, and you got to find coaches. So I started there, and then more and more and more. Last year I did registration here. That was my job. This year, Mary Beth has told me from the time that I started working with her really close that she signed a 3-year contract. Region commissioners, I don't know if that's normal. I haven't had tons of experience behind the scenes, but I have known for a long time. We have tried and tried and tried this last year so hard to find another region commissioner. I had the soccer phone, answered that. It's just a cell phone. So, we take turns. I have had it since last registration in April, and I just gave it back to Mary Beth on Friday because I didn't want to answer the phone calls about the fields being wet. So I have almost every parent that's called, I've said, they're asking me about fall registration, and I'm saying, at this point, I don't know if there's going to be an AYSO in our area. And I've had a lot of parents, oh, really? And we thought, surely someone would have stepped up now. We did have someone. We had a parent that started training. She went to some of the trainings probably about a year ago with Mary Beth, and Mary Beth was going to mentor her this year so that she could take over. She decided that she couldn't. Our board here is small. It's dwindling. Lots of us feel like, because not only do I work here, I work for my dad so that I can earn some money. I work, when my kids are in school. I'm a mom. I do PTA at the junior high and the elementary, where there is very minimal support. And we are begging and pleading in all 3 of these, in soccer, in PTAs. We are begging and pleading for volunteers everywhere you turn. And everyone is so, they're just burnt out, and everyone's so busy. Everyone's kids are into 3 and 4 things. So when Mary Beth called and told me last week that the city had voted to take over the soccer program, and it's a bittersweet thing. I didn't know if I wanted to really lose the AYSO name up here and the organization. That's something I only played for 1 year when I was young because they always made me be goalie, and I didn't like that. So, but I have 3 kids, and they've all played for many years, and it's so fun. It's so fun to go watch. It's fun to watch them be active. And I was pushing really hard. Last Tuesday, I met with Ryan Speltz that does our North Ogden City Connection magazine. We came up with an ad to put in there looking for region commissioner, and then that was last week when you guys put across the vote to take it over. So I called Ryan that night and said, don't run it. So that's what happened there. But we have been trying. We have been trying so hard. And I met Travis. I was at the meeting at the library, one of the 6 that were there. And AYSO is making some big changes in how they're running their program. And to me, it was pretty disappointing because right now, and every region is different, there's pros and cons to the things that they're changing, and I honestly don't know a lot of the changes. Travis said he would come train us, let us know what some of the changes were. But one of the perks for my volunteering hundreds of hours a year is I don't have to pay for my 2 girls to play soccer. And when we did registration last year, if they came to registration and paid before a certain time, it was $65. And then for the whole year, if they didn't have it in by, I think it was June 1st, then it went up to $85. So we've already been charging $85. Now, if we have just spring, the kids that are playing just spring, we are only charging $65 again for them to play, since it's just half a year. But we still have to have their uniforms. At this point, we do have 1,500 to 1,800 players in a season. We have 25 open spots. 25. That's how many of our kids are playing. I've done lots of registrations the last couple of weeks. I don't know. So when the city decided to take it over, it was a huge weight off my shoulders. Someone might actually get paid to do this job that takes so many hours, and there's so many things to run and so many different aspects of it. There's someone has to coordinate the fields, the painting of the fields, the teams, the coaches, just everything. And then you get so many calls, so many emails, parents wondering what's going on. You have to address all of that. And even there's 3 of us that are really active right now, doing a ton. And I know that our ref coordinator and our safety coordinator are also working really hard. I just haven't dealt with them right now because we're doing registrations. And we just started soccer on Saturday. And we, I don't know, it's just been a lot of hours. And even meeting with Travis, I felt like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Where are we going to find this person? You can't pull him out of a hat. And it's someone that should have been mentored. I feel like if they come in now as a region commissioner, it will be a sink or swim. And what are the chances of swimming? It's a lot. And Mary Beth has done an amazing job. She just got a promotion in January, that's taken a lot of her time away from soccer, and still she keeps up with everything. She did all the schedules. She's out, her and her husband are out painting fields. The rain and the retention ponds, the fields are getting washed away, the lines, and they're repainting. And just so many hours. Her and her husband have done amazing. They've done great. So I don't know, that's my perspective from the board at this level in North Ogden, Pleasant View, Harrisville. I don't know.
Thank you, Mrs. Hedgebeth, and thank you for all the volunteer work you have done. Let's see real quick if any of the council has any questions. Councilman Satterthwaite?
So how many soccer players do we think there are in AYSO nationwide?
Just under 500,000.
And correct me if my picture is wrong here, but the picture that's been painted for me is that when they do registration, it's on a piece of paper, and I see somebody in a room putting papers all over. There's nothing automated, nothing computer related to make this happen, is
They
it?
do register online, and at this point, they would hand us their registration papers and their check. But I think that is one of the changes that's coming with the new program, that it will all be online and they will only be able to pay by credit card. And that's something that that's fine. But I don't know that we'll be comped. And that was something that we asked Travis at the meeting at the library, and I'm not sure, because we have a lot of people that we comp, probably about 50 a year.
Comp means
Means
where your
we
kids can
have-
play because
with
you
either
volunteer.
a lower cost. We have some people come to us and say, I'm a single mom, I've got 4 kids, they really want to play soccer. And we say, well, if you will volunteer, if you will create teams, we will give you, like a discount on it. And then after you have volunteered for so many hours, and this is not across the board, it's not a rule across the board, and I can see why AYSO is making that change to make it more even across the board. But in our region, we were comped after 2 years of volunteering. We were comped for 1 child. So I've been doing it long enough. I have 2 children that are being comped. And honestly, it would have been easier to just pay the registration fee and be done than volunteer.
And so so maybe there is an online registration, but I think one of the things we are hanging our hat on is that we have a system that will organize the teams and do a whole lot more that looks like it would unburden the volunteers and maybe so we didn't have to rely on so many volunteer hours. 500,000 kids is an awfully good reason to.
And she's right. So there's the way different regions do it is up to the regional commissioner and that board. In our region, the EAYSO has been around for 10 years. It automates everything. Certain commissioners, elected to still accept checks and to kind of do it with papers taped on the walls. We haven't done that for years. Even more so, we have a brand new system and a partnership with Blue Sombrero and Dick's Sporting Goods, and they own the Affinity program if anybody's in that world. But they are one of our premier partners, and every region is going to be getting a new management system. That it also makes registration just night and day easy. Now, as far as comping players, that's a big no-no. It's in the national bylaws. In essence, if you don't pay your insurance fee, you're not technically covered on the soccer field. And in order to protect our stakeholders, which are our cities, we can't do that. And that's in the national bylaws, and we just can't do that. But what we can do, and what we will be offering in this new management system, is it will be there'll be the ability to have what's called a multi-family discount. So rather than just having some people get discounts, other people don't get discounts, this will be evenly applied across the board. Now, further than that, we have what's referred to as the Hugo Bustamontes grant program. That's for all underprivileged kids. And as a regional commissioner, you have to apply for that, but we can apply for that for this community. We can probably get at least up to $1,500 of matching funds from that Hugo Bustamontes grant. These are matching funds. We do not give it away for free. The reason, in our regions, we don't give it away for free because we find when even if it's just a $15 or a $20 buy-in, they're more likely to show up to practice and actually support the team. So every region, again, is going to do it a little bit differently, but the new system's going to have in place. We can even do coupon codes. And so if we want to do a We Love North Ogden Day coupon code, we can do that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Van Wagner. Let's see if there's any more questions for Mrs. Hedgepeth from the council.
Just so you know, I didn't know about any of that, even though we asked.
Council, anything else? Okay, thank you. We really appreciate you coming and sharing your perspective. So, council,
Does Tiffany have anything to add?
So
Tiffany, is there anything you'd like to add? Or council, do you have any questions for Tiffany? She doesn't have anything to add. Do you have any specific questions for her, council?
this is still more general. You've outlined a program to work with city rec departments. Was that done last October? Is that something new now? The new management system, has that come about?
The new management system is something that's it's actually been in negotiation and beta testing for about the last 2.5 years. In January at the expo, all of us regional commissioners had extensive training on that program so we could bring it back to our communities. We have we have our area web administrator currently working on that on the 287 site, ready for launch on April 1. I'm sorry, your other question?
Well, I've got an outline here that I think captures at least some of what you've proposed here. The working with city rec departments, the new management system, the biennial update to the city council, and then this relationship with school districts, if only for fields, but it sounded like it's further than that, going further than that. Be concise, but tell us how that program, you need to convince this council that it's going to swim, not sink.
It's already been done. It's already been done in other communities just to the north of you. And so, is it new just for North Ogden? No. When I came in 2015 as regional commissioner, those are some of the first things that I did to build up our program, and those are some of the first things that we would attempt to do in this area. Those are invitations. Obviously, we can't. We can ask Tiffany to be on our board, but they're invitations, and so they've got to be. We've got to be met halfway on those, and so we are not recreating the wheel. We are just applying it better here in your community.
It sounds like the will hasn't even been applied to this community. And I think all of us are sitting here like, this is real. Why haven't anybody heard any of this before if you've been implementing it?
And you've got.
I mean, you've got us behind the 8 ball, darling.
I hear what you're saying, and for all of you, this is we don't want to be here putting you in this position, and I'm sorry that we are. I don't want to be here just as much as you don't, and trust me. But we are here because we care. We care about your community just as much as we care about AYSO. And again, Travis is new. He's been making. He's new at this position, not to AYSO. He's taking over for another leader. These things are getting plopped in his lap, and he's going to execute them because he has shown over the 15, 16 years he's been in AYSO and mentored guys like me over the last 9, 10 years that it can be done. And all it takes is being proactive and reaching out, and we're here doing that now. Is it enough at this point? Maybe not. And I agree.
You've just thrown us all under the bus.
Where has been the will? I
don't know.
agree.
You threw us all under the bus and ran
there.
over us twice.
All of the support is there for the will, but the hub, the way that it's set up, the hub is the regional commissioner. And as a fellow regional commissioner, I wish I would have known. I would have supported Mary even more. But I have tried. I just want you to know I have tried.
Councilman Swanson?
So for me, it comes down to this. It's a matter of AYSO, North Ogden, our own soccer program, Little League, baseball, Pop Warner football. It's all about the kids.
Yes.
Right? So where I am is for me right now, this is a matter of trust. We've got 1,500 to 1,800 kids that have been depending on AYSO. And if we had not made the decision that we made last week, those 1,800 kids would not have a program. They would not have a region director. They wouldn't have your involvement. You wouldn't be here with this 4-point plan. They'd be left out hung to dry. And you're telling me that now, in a 48-hour period of time, you want me to trust you with the children of North Ogden, Harrisville, and Pleasant View that you just let down?
Respectfully, yes.
Okay. I mean, you're essentially telling me that if you hadn't thrown a life raft out to your child drowning, you, the lifeguards running these programs, would have let my child drown. And because we throw out a life raft to our child, all of a sudden you're Johnny on the spot and you're going to save my kid. And you're telling me, trust me, that I won't let your kid drown next time.
AYSO is the most trusted brand in youth soccer.
Not here in North Ogden right now.
And I was just going to say, I'm sorry that it has let you and this council down. Not our intention.
No, you haven't let the
Not
council
our-
down. You've let the kids down. You didn't
they're,
let Mary
your
Beth
kids.
down.
They're your kids. If we let their kids down, we're letting you
You didn't
down.
let
And
Mary
so
Beth down. You didn't let the council down. You didn't let the city down. You let the kids down. That's who you let down. This isn't about AYSO. This isn't about the council. This isn't about, these are the kids that were counting on you guys to have a program in place. And you didn't. And you didn't make the effort to make sure it happened until we said, we're going to replace it. And then all of a sudden you can fix it. And I'm supposed to trust that. I'm asking, how do I trust
AYSO
that?
287 is going to be registering soccer players regardless. And so it's unfortunate that it is where it's at, but what we are here tonight for is not to look so far back, but try to focus forward and grow forward together.
So if
And
you register players and all of our parks are being used for our own program, where are you going to play?
I've already outlined that to you this evening. We've already started reaching out to other stakeholders
You've already
in preparation
demonstrated
of
that you
that.
won't pay what Pleasant View is going to charge you.
We didn't say that.
Well, you haven't up to this point.
He said they would raise the fee. That was for
we understand.
Okay, so
we
you're going to
understand
charge the
there's a
kids
problem.
more. Yeah, okay.
Let's get Councilman Turner here.
I've said enough. I'm sorry.
Councilman Turner.
I just, you know, this was not a easy decision to have the city. And the truth of the matter is we don't know if the city can run it. We've never done it, so we don't know. We have a lot of confidence in our recreation department. And that's where I think we're coming from, is we have a lot of confidence that they can do it. For me, I'm not opposed to letting AYSO prove to us they can do it. But I would suggest if we do, as a council decide to do that, we would put them on like a probationary type idea. Does that make sense? You know, so that's all I gotta say right now.
There's another proposal, and it's being done across the nation, and it's called an affiliation program, whereas AYSO will come in if a city recreation has the enthusiasm and the leadership through somebody like Tiffany. You know, we can explore those options. We just want you guys to know, guys and gals to know that we're here for the kids in your community, as well as those parents and coaches and the thousands of kids that are now adults giving back to their community. So we're here to work with you.
Councilman Satterthwaite.
So what would happen if the council decided to take the program in the city for the next year with the hope that there would be work done by IASO to get things in place so that when this decision point comes, hopefully in 8 or 9 months, that what would happen if that's what we did? Would AYSO back out?
Oh no, we're going to continue registering players in this region. We also support Harrisville and Pleasant View. Obviously, North Ogden makes up the majority of the component there. The partnership since 1980 has been with North Ogden City. If we don't have a partnership with you, we'll still register players. It will just make it more difficult. It will dilute your player base, dilute our player base, cause confusion in the community. It's probably not the best decision, but it's your decision as the leaders of this community to make.
Is it possible that we could do some of the work, maybe do the registration through our system, do some things so that we're working together, so that we could feel more comfortable? I mean, we do have a lot of confidence in Tiffany and her team. And could we do that for the next year and then say, okay, then we're going to cut you loose and we'll be all of us be convinced that AYSO is on its own? That's what we'd really like to do. We don't want the city, if we don't have to take over a program like that.
And up here with egg on our face already, it's going to be hard to say, give us a chance. However, I'm asking you respectfully to give us a chance, and we'll report back to you on a biannual basis, give you the council updates. If you require quarterly updates, we can come and do that. give us a year. Let's revisit this, not at this time because it will be before registration, but let's revisit it in the first quarter, maybe January, if the agenda is open to that, and let's benchmark us and see where we're at. Give us a stress test at that point. Let us get all the information that's already been asked for, the budgets and so forth, and let us continue to run the program to the benefit of the kids. However, with that said, I would like to make sure Tiffany is heavily involved in that advisory role. I think that her energy, just what I've picked up in the past few days, is she's got that contagious energy I talked about. She can help add, foundation to what's already a good program and help us make it even better.
I'm sure you're right. She can, but she knows the people here, and so that could happen. If we're going to do this, I want more than biennial. It'd be at least quarterly, and I think Rachel is looking like she has something else to say, Mayor. So I'd like to recognize.
Okay, Mrs. Hedgepeth again.
So one of my concerns is that we see the kids in the community, when they're dropping off registration, and I feel like that might be hard if they don't actually live here in our community. They come drop off their registration. They're always stopping at Mary Beth's house to pick up uniforms and that. Our coaches, her house is our AYSO hub, and it's right there by the elementary. Everyone knows where she lives. How's it going to look if we have to send them to another city? I don't know. It's a really tough decision. It's really tough, but it's kind of a part-time job to be a region commissioner, and it's an unpaid part-time job. They carry the whole program, like was stated. They carry the whole program. It's a lot of work for a volunteer.
Well, in all respect, I know you guys are volunteers too, so I know we're being pretty tough on you, but we really have got to represent the kids.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, is the kids. And we're going to find a local person. We're going to have, if we don't find a local person, then we're going to at least have a local mailing address. If we can work with the city and the city recreation, maybe that's the hub. Maybe that's the glue that pulls all this together, And so that's something that we can explore all together. It is not necessarily the best professional thing to have, all your members, especially that many, showing up to your house to drop off checks. Checks are, first of all, they don't create an automatic receipt. We're not going to rule out checks. If somebody really has to pay with a check, we'll accommodate that. But we're to the point now where if you don't have a credit card, you can go down to the Walmart, buy a Visa card for $2, and you can conduct your life and your affairs that way. We're living in a world now where it is digital. We need to catch up. And as far as registration days, those are huge. But we're not going to accept mounds and mounds of trees anymore. We're gonna force you that we're gonna retrain our community that we've got to do it online. We're not going to be passing out papers. Each one of those papers, when you take it in, you have to save it for 23 years. We don't want to save it for 23 years. Let the database do that. And so there's lots of stuff that I hear in the frustration that it is already being done. And again, we just want the opportunity to do it better here.
So let me just, I have just comes to my mind when you say, well, if you guys elect to go with the city doing the program, then we'll continue to register things, and brings to my mind a biblical story about Solomon and the baby. Let's cut the baby in half. And so then I wonder, do you really care about the kids if you have that attitude that we're going to come in here and register and compete with you, even if you go with your own city? I don't, that doesn't bode well with me, that you would say, well, if you guys go with the city, we're going to still go ahead and register them. Now, the second thing I'll say is I'm probably, my kids have been involved in recreation, they've been involved in junior posse things, and I applaud you for your volunteerism, because frankly, Saturday's a time for me to get my kids to work in the yard, and I would no way volunteer to coach a soccer team or have anything to do on Saturday, because I'm not going to go watch those kids run around when I could have them working in my yard, which would be much more valuable.
Councilman Swanson.
Yeah, so the difficulty that I'm having at this point is everything that you're saying sounds really good, but it's to me it's kind of like the police officer that pulls somebody over for DUI and they look at him and say, okay, now that you've caught me, I promise from here on out everything's going to be great. It's like prisoners in the prison system. They do really good when they're monitored constantly. But it's how do they do when the monitoring stops? And it's all well and good that you're making these promises and you'll come see us quarterly or biannually and you'll provide us with all of these things. But as soon as that constant heavy oversight with the threat of you losing your players in this area goes away, what confidence can I have? Because the thought of the kids not having a soccer program wasn't enough to get this taken care of. It's only the threat of losing the business that was enough to get you guys moving and get this taken care of. What confidence can I have that suddenly all of that changes and 5 years down the road, we aren't right back where we are? Or 3 years when the new region commissioner is at the end of their 3-year contract and there's nobody there, and North Ogden is now off the radar because the city has pulled their program and on and on and on. And the new whoever's on the council at that point is then faced with this same question. We have the outgoing region director, some great volunteer from it. And again, I applaud the two of you. I echo Jim's comments on your volunteering. I did a lot of that as a parent. My kids have been in AYSO since the, 90s. Okay, so very familiar with the program, Pop Warner, Little League, we did it all. But what confidence do we have that this doesn't just die again? And we're in 3 years, we're right back in this same boat. And you know, it just, you say, yes, we're about the kids. Yes, it's about the kids, but the kids weren't enough to get you to take care of this problem. It was the threat of losing the sale, metaphorically and literally, that got you to where you wanted to take care of the program. That doesn't tell me that the kids are your number one priority.
What you just referenced, I reference as integrity. So you're asking us to do what we say in front of you when we're not in front of you. And I'll do my best to deliver on that. What happens down the line, I can't promise anything. I can't. I can do the best way I can as a neighboring commissioner in the role that I'm currently at, but you pose a good question, and it is a question that every regional commissioner faces when their tenure is up, and you know, we have to hopefully have built a program, volunteer program, that is built off of positive energy, not free soccer. We want genuine volunteership. That is a contagious, everybody wants to be part of something great. Nobody wants to be part of a half-baked program.
Well,
and
I think, I don't know if you're kind of in a roundabout way saying that somehow the 287 was a half-baked program. I don't think 1,800 kids is a half-baked program.
No, I wasn't referencing.
Okay,
No reference.
I wasn't clear that I just, boy, okay, you know where I stand. I'm just having all kinds of issues, all kinds of struggles.
I do, and I do feel your frustration.
Cheryl, do you want me to go over it again?
Yes, would you please? I'm
Let's-
not sure I got
Let me
it.
start
Let
from the
me ask at
beginning.
this point, Mr. Van Wagoner, are there any more questions for Mr. Van Wagoner? Any of the council would like to ask? Is there anything closing you'd like to say? And then we'll turn it over for final council discussion on this and decide where you'd like to go from here.
Yes, I think I'd like to end by just saying thank you. I don't envy the position that you're in. I'm sorry that you are in the position that you are in. I wish I knew sooner, so I could have been up here assisting our communities sooner. I'd also like to say that AYSO prides itself on providing world-class youth soccer programs to enrich children's lives. And I hope that even though we've, had some, shortcomings through delivery and communication, that I hope that we've been able to do that in this community, and the community's better for it. So that'll be it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Van Wagner, and we really do appreciate you coming. Councilman Turner.
Just a thought. AYSO has been with North Ogden since 1980. Been working with us for, if my math is right, went to Weber High, so 36 years. Is that right?
37.
Well, it's 37 now, but I mean, we're not in this 30, so
Yeah, but who's
36
counting?
complete years, right? And it sounds like we've had a pretty good track record, even if it's been only 33 years. I have had parents and others reach out to me in the community since they heard that we were taking it over, and had some complaints about the way it was run. That weren't as positive about the way things were run by the commissioner. Recently, it hasn't been huge numbers. There's 1,800 kids. I've only had 2 parents that reached out to me and complained. There are that aspect that we're hearing. But just food for thought that we have had a relationship with AYSO that's been very positive for at least 35 years or 34 years, something like that. So just food for thought. I expressed concern when we voted on this, that will we be able to make this work as rec department, and Tiffany was very confident. I have a ton of confidence in her and in her department and how she's going to run it, and she's got a plan and she's got it figured out, and I'm certain she can. I am concerned about the volunteers, and I'm not opposed to AYSO and having them be on a trial basis. I did like Lynn's idea, though, of how maybe we take it over and then have AYSO build up their team and then come back and we hand it back over to them. So I didn't have a problem with that either. So I haven't made any decisions yet. I'm just telling you some thoughts I had in my head.
Councilman Satterthwaite.
So let me modify the idea, and I'll ask Tiffany to respond, and we'll recognize the fact that if you don't respond, it's quite all right, because we haven't given you any chance to think about this. But I wonder if you all can get together, maybe already know enough about each other, that somehow the city can kind of complement and maybe prop up is not the right word, but I would really like to see AYSO move ahead on this, but I'm concerned that you do it on your own, and then maybe I'm committed to even put some funds into this if it helps get us over this year hump, all towards you going on you launch the boat on your own next year for sure. Can you see how that might help? Can you, Tiffany, respond with how we might do this working together that would take some of the risk out of this?
Thank you for acknowledging the fact that I'm digesting just as fast as you are. I do want to say very much, and on the record, that I very much appreciate Mary Beth for the things that she has done for the youth in our community, for the efforts that I have seen her put forth as she coordinates a program of this size on a volunteer basis. I also want to say that from Stephen and Travis's point of view, the productivity and the fire that I have seen behind them, especially behind Stephen, Mr. Van Wagner, in the last 2 days is promising. Because I do not know him more than 2 days, I can't speak to the motivation behind that. But I do see an effort, and I do see movement going on. I do see contacts and communications, reserving of the senior center to schedule a community outreach. I do see that going on. I realize, as you do, that AYSO has a great track record. They obviously are the biggest soccer program for the youth in the nation for a reason. And I do think that they have the framework and the structure to build a good program when they have the kind of volunteers and the support that they need to have. And so I feel that if Mr. Van Wagner and Mr. Braden here can continue with the kind of efforts and outreach and communication that I've seen in the past 2 days over the course of this soccer program, I feel like the city can work with AYSO to make a program that will be best for the kids in this area. That obviously is dependent on that continued communication and support that I've seen for the last 2 days. But I do feel like AYSO is a great framework and a great structure to be built upon, and that it would be a benefit to the kids in the community to continue that with the kind of support that you have requested tonight.
Thank you. Any questions, council? Great points. Thank you.
Mayor, I'd just like to ask a question, Stephen. You know, I was
Mr. Van Wagner again, thank you.
Yeah, I was in the business world for a long time, and I had to take care of customers, and I felt bad if I lost a customer. But probably, they became friends to me, and but also they affected my paycheck if I lost too many of them. Was there anything above that came to you and said, hey, we're going to lose this program, or was it just you two decided we don't want to lose this program?
Personally, I've been reaching out again to this region. I feel as though I have a personal stake in this region, and that personal stake is our kids in Ogden City. Our kids in Ogden City have been developing an extra program. We've been developing some other programs, and it's no fun to play the same teams all the time. Travis actually started the extra program for our area. It's an inter-region play program, and we travel around to each other's communities, and it builds up that camaraderie. And I've been trying for before I was commissioner, when I was just another coach, volunteering and not really knowing the depth that it took on the board. I've been trying since then to get North Ogden involved. And so I feel like I have that is my personal stake in this. The kids in Ogden City, if they have a good program, North Ogden City has a good program, the tides rise and all the boats float up together. And so I think we've got a great opportunity here in North Ogden. And I can't applaud her enough times, but Tiffany has been wonderful the last 2 days, and her leadership in this, I really do think will be paramount. And as I referenced earlier, I think her department's going to be the glue that kind of pulls this together, and her oversight as an advisory board, if she's willing, a board member to take it, her oversight and her vision of what is expected here in this community, it's going to be nothing but good. But as a businessman as well, I'd be a little irritated if my customers have been getting treated this way. And so let me just say that on the record. As a businessman, I'd be upset if my customers were being treated this way. And that's your frustration that you're feeling tonight. And based off of our track record, let's keep going. Give us another year. We'll get you. When we're not on YouTube or whatever, I'll give you my personal cell phone number so you can reach me at any time. And I'll be a contact and a conduit, if you will, to get to area. But there again, Travis has got a phone dedicated just to soccer and AYSO that he carries around, so he's available as well.
Well, one of your comments, you'd like to play in the fields for free. We have some wear and tear on those fields, and we need something that will help take care of those fields. Undoubtedly, you can't pay the total cost of taking care of those fields. But I do know from my research with AYSO that actually AYSO has purchased and built some fields in some communities across the nation.
With wonderful Silicon Valley donors that are in their program. So yes, that has happened. And too bad we didn't have a couple of those around here, because we've got some beautiful farm fields that would be great lit up with soccer lights. When I made that field fee comment, it was meant to be a joke. You guys did not receive it that way. I get it. The fields cost money. Grass costs money. The water costs money. The fertilizer, the parks department all cost money. We realize that. And so you let us know what we need to do, and we will budget appropriately to make it happen.
Okay, thank you. Other discussion, council?
I think we've discussed it enough.
Can you sum it up for us? Are you ready to?
Mayor, just a couple quick
Councilman
questions.
Turner?
So where are we at on the registration and the kids being able to start playing? That's my question. Are the kids, you already started playing spring, but what about this fall?
They're playing spring, but we haven't.
Was-
We've been saying, well, we don't know if we're going to
So
have.
how soon do we have to start registering for fall?
When would registration normally
We
begin?
usually register the end of April.
End of April.
So
April beginning of May.
We were intending to begin registration April 1st as a city.
Okay,
So
and
normal AYSO would have been in a few weeks. City was planning on starting next week.
okay,
So that's why we brought this tonight, to try and get some
right.
clarity
so
for everyone involved.
So April 22nd, I know is the date, and that may have been when they could get I don't know all the details on why it's April 22nd or not. I mean, that happens to be a Saturday. Maybe that's why that's how it worked or everything, but I think it's a Saturday anyway. But is that too late for fall registration? I don't know. I don't.
That's we usually do it on 2 Saturdays in April.
Okay, so that wouldn't necessarily be too late.
No.
Okay, that was all I was wondering.
Okay, and thank you, Mrs. Hedgepeth, for that. Mr. Van Wagoner.
Does Ms. Hedgebeth, so you guys hold 2 in-person registration events? Okay, so that is probably why they've started registration later in April. A lot of our regions that are already automated, they'll open up registrations as soon as mid-March online, and then we go out and conduct in addition to in-person registration events, and that's where we are successful in getting our volunteer base, is by holding those events when the parents are face to face at those registration type events. We call them information days now. It's information, and we usually have Pitcher Day and the Real Salt Lake mascots coming up and stuff like that. It's just more or less a fun day for the kids in the community. But we can start registration really whenever we want online. It's how fast we want to promote it to the community.
So that's how I got suckered into coaching.
Registration day.
Yes, registration.
So did we do
Me-
that
me
last
too.
fall as online registration, just like you're talking about, and then
Mrs.
we have
Hedgebeth.
these
Thank you.
registration days?
So, and like was pointed out, we have a new system coming. And when we expressed our frustrations, I'm frustrated that they're stepping in now, because I love AYSO and I'm good with either decision the council makes. And I will support either way. I will still, I'll still put my kids in soccer no matter what way it goes. My frustration is that we haven't gotten any answers even from our meeting. And so I haven't been trained on the new program. At this point, the one reason that we waited so late in April to do registration was because with the EAYSO program, you couldn't have spring registration open and then have fall. You have to close one. And we're still accepting those few kids for our 25 spots that we have left. So we can't start a fall registration until that one's closed. And that may be different with the new program. I don't know.
Thank you, Mrs. Hedgepeth. I'll just say a couple comments, council, while you're gathering your final thoughts. As you know, I usually look at things pretty practically. I do this as well. It's an issue that is emotional because it's our children. I mean, like I say, I'm not even quite sure how many kids I have in AYSO soccer.
You have a
Not even
bunch.
sure
That's
how
a
many
factor
kids
of
you
having
have.
a lot of children.
You have an entire team,
I
don't
have
you?
kids, plural, so in AYSO soccer. And I think something Councilman Turner said was correct too. I mean, there's questions for us to implement this program. I mean, I have huge confidence in our recreation department too. This program would be larger than all of the youth programs we currently offer, and there's going to be huge growing pains with that, no matter how competent and our staff is. You know, there's things we don't know. So, given that, I am sure we could do it. I'm also sure that if there's another way to do it, in my opinion, at least solely mine, I think that's better because, you know, then it's not creating two programs. That's my biggest fear, is that there would still be an AYSO program, and I don't think that's unreasonable since they've been doing it for decades, that they would continue and not simply stop if the city started. And I think if we have two programs going, that to me is the worst outcome, because now we're competing for the same people to be coaches. We've got kids who want to play with one group of friends, might be on one team, one kid from the neighborhood's on the other team. I mean, that seems to me to be the worst outcome. And that's where I think practically, I think we should give AYSO another opportunity here, work closely with our recreation department to implement a program that satisfies what the council would like to see. And as part of that, and I'll say to our gentleman from AYSO, I would just really encourage you to respect the volunteers we've had. And I know you're probably not feeling you didn't, but some of us perceived it that way. And I think we've had so many wonderful people like Mrs. Hedgepeth giving so much time. Mrs. Ford, who I think is a wonderful person and has done so much. I think it's important that if this moves forward, if that's the council's decision, that it can't be, you know, this is a change because of some failure or the program was not done right. I think, like you said, it just needs to move on, but with genuine respect and thanks for the people who have done so much in this program for so many years, because we really have had some wonderful people. Unfortunately, there's just been less and less of them as time has gone on, and I say myself too, I got the same requests to participate, but like many people, you know, I consider myself a pretty busy person. I didn't step forward to help out. I just paid those fees instead of volunteering the hundreds of hours. So I would just encourage you, if the council decides to move forward, please do not show any disrespect, whether intentional or just, you know, how it happens, to any of the people who've done so much for the program, because that just, it won't work. And then regardless, council, whatever your decision is, myself, the administration, Mrs. Staley, we're all going to carry out, whether you choose one way or the other, 100%, whatever the decision is. So those are just my comments on it. A few thoughts. Now back to you, council, for additional discussion. If you're ready to make a decision, if you wish to take it under advisement, where would you like to go from here? Councilwoman Stoker.
I am in agreement too. It's like I don't think we should cut our nose off to spite our face, and it is a it is a huge undertaking, and why ASYO has been doing this a long time, has experience, probably has more manpower on the regional level than we do. But I do think where the biggest problem I've heard tonight is there's just not been the communication. I think they need your personal number as well. They need contact numbers to go right to the source for help. So there needs to be the communication between you, with them, to you, and even with our Parks and Rec. It just needs to be a better partnership. Everybody needs to work together to make this work. And I think if we do take this away, there again, all we do is hurt the children. So I think you have some big shoes to fill and need to come through with everything you've said you would do tonight. I don't want your job. I wouldn't volunteer either. So I thank you for caring to even take this on. And you probably came into this behind just like we are. So I'm willing to give you that chance.
Mayor?
Councilwoman, or Councilman Swanson.
I've been called that
I'm
too.
looking at the councilwoman here.
Just don't call me late for lunch. Mayor, I hear what you're saying. Cheryl, I hear what you're saying. Carl, I hear what you're saying. I just cannot get past the fact that nothing was done and nothing would have been done had we not made the decision that we made. To me, that speaks volumes about what's most important to AYSO. If it were the kids, something would have happened between last October and now. Something would have happened between February 20th and now. I'm going to slip my Jim Urey hat on here for just a moment and tell a little story. You know, in my business, we had a manufacturer that supplied about 85% of everything we did, millions of dollars. And they did exactly what AYSO did. They just kind of took it in stride. Hey, no problem. They're always there. We can count on them for all this business. We got no support, got nothing from them, which is what this region has received from AYSO. And when we said, okay, we're switching our business to your competitor, all of a sudden we have these plans and we have all these promises and we have all this. It just reeks to me of a salesman trying not to lose a sale, not an organization who's worried about the kids, because you would have been there. Somebody would have been there. The other issue that I have is that we as a city are talking about putting forth city funds to oversee a program that ought to have, by this point, that has 500,000 kids nationwide, that doesn't have enough within its own program to oversee itself to make sure that it happens. I don't know that our taxpayers are wanting us to fork out city funds so that Tiffany can hire another person, or that Tiffany takes on even more than she already does, to babysit a program that, by golly, should have been 100%. And this never should have happened. Those are my two hurdles. Do I want a competing program? What I see that competing program is, it hurts the kids because AYSO will, my term, they're going to stick around and take as many kids as they can, regardless. Doesn't matter. Again, it's a sales thing. I'm going to take as much of your 1,800 kids as we can. We failed them. We have a system that it still seems to be rife with the opportunity to fail the kids. Nothing was done until they have a chance to lose it. And in the face of losing it, the response is, well, we're just going to compete with you. If you do what you need to do, but we're come heck or high water, we're just going to compete with you. And I have a problem with that. To me, it's just sales, 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 sales. We've had 30 great years of them taking 30-some years of them working with the kids, to the tune of they're ready to just absolutely let it fail, and nobody's interested and nobody takes moves to do anything until we threaten their business. Then all of a sudden somebody's willing to do something. 30 years of serving the kids, doesn't matter. The kids coming first, doesn't matter. It's not until we threaten to take it away that all of a sudden something gets done. And that's my biggest concern. If we hadn't threatened to take it away, we'd be right where we were. No region, no support, and the kid's about to be failed. And that's my biggest concern. I have 100% confidence. Will there be a learning curve? Yes. Will there be some mistakes that we make? Yes. Logan, they don't run, their city doesn't run it, but they don't use AYSO, and they've managed to do just fine. They've got a pretty big program up there. That's why AYSO stops at Brigham City and they're not in Logan, because Logan doesn't use AYSO. And they have 1,800 kids in their program. Again, sorry, Cheryl, to flog a horse that's been dead for months. But to me, this is about the kids. And in the final analysis, weighing all the two sides, I am not convinced that AYSO as an organization, at least what we've seen is that their number one priority is making sure the kids are taken care of. The number one priority, in my opinion, is making sure that AYSO continues to bring in the $17.50 per kid, that they get to the national and everything else, and then to take care of the kids. Because since October, you've known that there was a
Van
problem.
Wagner, we're really just on to council comments at this point, unless the council have any questions for you. So I know you.
He just made a couple points that I wanted to clarify.
Okay, let me ask council, would you like to have more input?
I've heard everything I need to hear. I just, I mean,
Kind of, I think, it feels like a sales job to me too, because of the late coming in, and I hear it's a nonprofit organization, but willing to run a programming competition with us, even if we decide to go to. There's got to be something in it for them to want to, and I don't know if I'm not convinced that it's just the kids. I don't know that it's just the kids that is making them come to us and say, well, we're going to run a program. We don't want it to fail here, and we're running competition to you if you do your own program. Well, the easiest way for us to say, well, you're not going to run in competition with us here is to say you're not welcome at any of our parks. We wouldn't let you use it any of the parks. But having said that, I've probably been, for the last 2 years, the most vociferous critic of AYSO, because I think that you need to pay your fair share in using our parks. Okay, the fee needs to go up, and you don't need to raise the fee to the kids to make sure that we get the parks taken care of in here. Having said that, I look at this thing and I say, we've got a chance to get a divorce or stay married and strengthen the marriage. And I would feel good about strengthening the marriage. Number one, Tiffany's got to be not only on your board, she's got to be the board chairman. Okay. Number two, you two need to stay involved in it until we have someone that would be completely trained to take it over. Okay, and that would mean you're involved in it on Saturdays or whatever time you need to be involved in it. I'd have to have your word that you're going to be totally involved in this process until we have a regional manager or whatever they call them to take it over.
So would you like to get some input from the gentleman on that? Councilman?
Yeah, I would. I'd like to know what's your commitment to us? Are you going to run the program for us until you get somebody trained to take it over? And you know what? I think I think we've been pretty tough on Travis. He's new into the thing, and if I were sitting in his shoes, I have to be honest, I'd have walked out a long time ago. I would have just walked out of here and said, "You guys go ahead and run your own program then. It's no skin off my teeth." So,
Well,
Welcome back, Mr. Braden.
thank you. In talking with Tiffany the past couple days, I believe the original schedule was to present to you all on April 11th. Was that not the case, Steve? Or attend
yes.
the meeting on the April the 11th? Okay, so both Mr. Van Wagner and I received a text from Tiffany yesterday afternoon, later in the afternoon, about this meeting tonight. Okay, so when you look at the sheet that we've handed out, yes, those are promises that we haven't acted on, but just the time crunch, and so I will be the first to stand up here and take the slings and the barbs if a month from now or 2 months from now or 6 months from now or whatever, those on the agenda or those on the handout aren't being met. But I think it's a little disingenuous to say, well, when you fail, how can I put my trust in you? Because the contingency or the outcome is when you fail, not if you fail. I really think that's a little bit disingenuous. I mean, yeah, we haven't done anything on this paper just because we've been talking about this for the last week, and we finished putting this together actually today so we could present it to you tonight at this meeting. So, and again, and I think I speak for Mr. Van Wagner. He will stand up here too, and you can sling an arrow at him if we're not meeting those promises. But I do think that we can at least make a good effort, and we can try. And I've talked with Steve, and we didn't put anything onto that sheet that we weren't confident that we could do. Okay, it's not blow smoke at the city council. It's we can do this. We will do this. Just give us a little bit of time. And another point that I would like to address is I'm sorry, but if anyone questions why I'm here other than serving the community and serving the kids of not only Region 287, but the entire Area 9R, they're misguided, okay? And there's been some comments made about letting the kids down and failing the kids and everything like that, and yet those comments were followed up by referring to AYSO as a sales job, or taking away your competitor, taking away your business. I've never said anything like that. I do not look at the children or the volunteers or anybody in AYSO as a business or a sale. And if someone out there thinks that this is a last-ditch effort to save 1,200 registrations money and fear of losing the registration money for 1,200 players, again, they're sadly mistaken. They're misguided. And you all don't know me, and you all don't know my feelings, and you all don't know, but anyone who does know me knows that I am here for the right reasons. And I find it almost ironic that comments are made like that, and then they're followed up again with comments like losing a sale or the kids are business or anything like that. I'm not in this for the business. Nobody is in this for the business. Okay, hindsight is 20/20. And did I drop the ball? Maybe I did. Okay, again, I'm not gonna beat that dead horse as to what support that I did do with Mary Beth, and I did help her out, or Ms. Hedgepeth, or the regional board. But okay, I am not the knight in shining armor who feels threatened by losing something. Okay, if I'm threatened by losing something, it's 1,200 kids losing the opportunity to play AYSO soccer. That's what I feel threatened by. It's not, it's not the registration fees. It's not the money. It's not the, it's not the prestige of, being this area director over these huge regions or anything like that. So, I just wanted to say that, and I just wanted to ask for a chance again, and I will. I guarantee you that I will come here and I will stand here 6 months from now and take my medicine and face the music if we aren't following through with that on that. Okay? But to get a text at 3 p.m. in the afternoon for an 8:30 meeting the next day, and then be told, oh, well, all you're giving us is promises. How do we know you're going to follow through with this? Well, we don't yet. So anyway,
Thank you, Mr. Braden.
Mayor.
Mr. Van Wagoner. Oh, Councilman Swanson.
You know, I hear what you're saying, and your shots are at me because I've been the one that's been the most vocal. But I would remind you that you got a text at 3 p.m. yesterday about a meeting today about an issue that you've known about since October, an issue that was very clear to you since February 20th. So don't give me this stuff that somehow you weren't aware or somehow this is a surprise. This isn't a surprise. It's been going on since October, and you knew it. It's been going on since February 20th, and you knew it. The kids are the same as the kids that were there in October, and the same kids that were there February 20th. The only thing that changed, that suddenly got you guys here, the only thing that changed, kids didn't change. The problem didn't change. The volunteers that we've had didn't change. The only thing that changed was the threat of the business being taken away from you guys. The kids were there, and nothing was done. Your love of the kids, I don't doubt that you love the kids. But nothing was done. It's not until we threatened to take it away that you guys show up.
Respectfully, Council Swanson, my hairs are starting to stand up on my head with your reference to the money. If you think you think this program,
I don't
first
know
of all,
why.
you also referenced that we somehow asked for money this evening. We have not asked for money. We're willing.
No,
For the record, we're
Councilman Satterthwaite offered.
I understand that, but we are not asking for any money. We run a budget neutral program
Right.
that have enough money to put back into the program. That's it. These are
But
bare
what
bone
you're hearing
programs.
from
If
the
you,
other-
if you want, we
excuse
can
me.
run a
What
$500
you're hearing from the
program
other
and
councilmen-
pay all kinds
excuse
for.
me.
I
What
think
you're
this is
hearing
getting
from-
really unhealthy. So let me go to Councilman Satterthwaite.
Just let me finish.
Break this
What you're
discussion
hearing
up.
from Councilman Satterthwaite is that in order for him to trust you guys to run the program, we need to put money into our people to monitor what you're doing.
Not necessary.
And I have a problem with that.
It's not necessary.
Councilman
Satterthwaite
Satterthwaite.
just seemed to be indicating that, in his opinion, it was.
I think it was a free-flowing thought that he was working through for the benefit of everybody.
I was just looking for ways to mitigate the risk. Unfortunately, from our view of things, I'm afraid that you deserve. You just haven't responded. Okay, and so now we're done with that. 22nd of April. I just have the one question. I'm inclined to work with the direction that Councilman Uri has suggested, that we put Tiffany right in the middle of it because we think she's in touch with the community and we think that she'll work together, and that the two of you are way involved until we have somebody who is well trained and just can go and do it, and then the regular, at least quarterly, kinds of follow-up. But the 22nd of April, what are we going to do? We had the meeting over here in the library, and I think you attended it, Mr. Braden, and we didn't have anybody there. What are we going to do between now and the 22nd of April that gives us hope that this thing can move? If we have the same 6 people or a different 6 people or 12 people, we probably have our first indication.
Mr. Van Wagoner.
Thank you, Mayor. So area staff has spent about 3.5 hours the other night on the phone call. Travis Braden is in the process of vetting a past regional commissioner to hopefully help us in that position. We will show up to that meeting with that person already established, so we're not going in there blind. We want to make sure that there is leadership already developed by the time we get there. What we're going to do in between now and then, to specifically answer your question, is we're going to be out there on the soccer fields on Saturday. So just like you've already asked that we be very involved, we are up to our ears and involved right now. And so we're going to continue that and making sure that there's support. But we're going to be out on the soccer fields over the next few weeks here and connecting with our community, connecting with our members. We're also going to reach back to our board that's already established and ask and get their input. This young lady has the best insight as of right now. We're coming from the outside. We need to work with her. We need to work with the existing board. We also need to work with Mary, which we're going to make every attempt to do so in the remaining portion of her tenure.
Again, April 22nd is almost a month away. And what we're going to do between now and then is we're going to do exactly what Mr. Van Wagner said. We are going to reach out to the community. We are going to advertise it like crazy. We are going to meet and greet. It may blow up in our face. We may have 6 individuals show up. We may have 0 individuals show up. But my feeling is we need to try. And then on April 23rd, Councilman Swanson, you can call me and you can stand up here and you can say, guess what? Your April 22nd was a fiasco. You failed. And I will say, you're right. But again, I think it's a little bit disingenuous for us to sit here
Mr. Braden, I don't want to get in.
Sorry.
I know there's been a little tension, so let's all just try and avoid that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you. I think you answered the question, and
I apologize to Councilman Swanson, too.
No apology necessary.
okay, so let's, unless there's any really good remaining questions, go on to discussion. Councilman Swanson.
The last question that is in my mind, and I appreciate both of you being in the hot seat tonight. I've certainly made your seats uncomfortable. But my concern is the kids. And so if April 22nd blows up, what happens to the kids? If April 22nd turns out like February 20th did, what happens to the kids?
I would think we would end up with Mr. Van Wagner being our regional commissioner a little longer. I'm going to put words in his mouth based on what he said. Mr. Van Wagner, can you address that question?
I think the mayor, we're on the same page here. And so we're not going to leave you without any support. We'll make sure that the program is a success. And, you know, the way we're going to do that is by working with you all. We can't do it alone. Travis and I, we've got families, we've got other commitments, right? And so we can't do it alone. We're going to reach out to our stakeholders, which are North Ogden City, Harrisville, Pleasant View, Weber County School District. We're going to send out mailers to all, we've got 1,500 to 1,800 players. That's a lot of parents. We're going to be sending home mailers, not emails that everybody discards. And so we'll reach them. We'll reach them. I know that you don't think so, but you're going to have a little faith here.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Van Wagner.
Thank you.
Other discussion, council?
I'll just say this. I have a neighbor that he brags. He said that he tells his wife, he said, you know, I told you I loved you when we first got married, and if anything changes, I'll let you know. Okay? I tell my wife I love her every night. That's what we want to hear from you. We love you. We love these kids. We want that constant assurance of that. And if you two tell me that you will stay on as regional commissioners, or whatever they're called, until you have someone trained, I'm willing to work with that.
Councilman Swanson?
And I would add to that, I'm willing to give you the chance if you give me monthly communication. Quarterly, to me, is still too long. Too much can happen in 3 months. You know, if April 22nd busts and, you know, things are going south and we don't know till 90 days down the road, then we're too late to put together our own program for the kids, and it's the kids who lose. So if you're willing to make a commitment, and it doesn't have to be in council meeting, an email that comes to us and says, here's what we've done, here's what the plan is for the next 30 days, and here's where we're going, and here's what we plan to have done in the next 30 days. And if you can do that for 6 months, then I'll rely on the faith that these good individuals that I trust implicitly are extending your direction, and I'll join with them, and I'll give you that trust.
Mr. Van Wagner.
That's what I like to hear. Now we're all working towards the same thing. And so let's continue to work together. You have my promise, as well as Travis's, that we will give you monthly updates. I'm kind of old-fashioned. I prefer just to call over email, but if you prefer email,
I'll give you my personal phone call.
Okay.
Phone number, you can call me.
Okay, we'll do that. Let's plan on that. And a big difference you're going to see in between the February meeting and the April meeting. In February, nobody's thinking about soccer. we're up at Snow Basin and doing other sledding, building snowmen. Once April comes, everybody's thinking about soccer. So you're going to see that energy increase.
Okay, other discussion. Councilman Turner and then Councilwoman Stoker.
What do you need from us? Need a motion to say that we're gonna let AYSO do their thing?
This really is a council decision, so we need either a decision or if you're going to table it, tabling some outcome so we know what your guidance and instructions as the council are.
Okay.
Especially as the previous decision was made by the council, so, I certainly don't have authority to undo it, so we brought it back to the council for that reason.
Okay.
Councilwoman Stoker.
I would just like to add that the reassurance too is that you will work diligently with your volunteers here, because they, like you say, they know more about what's going on than, and the respect due both ways. I would like to have that guarantee, or else know that that will be in place too, which I think it will be.
It's a guarantee, and I look forward to working with them.
Thank you.
Councilman Swanson.
Mayor, I would make a motion that we suspend North Ogden's soccer program, not eliminate it or reverse it, but suspend it for a period of 1 year to give AYSO an opportunity to make good on the commitments that they've made tonight. And that way, should there be, hopefully there won't be, but should there be a catastrophic failure, then we don't have to go through the entire process. We can just remove the suspension and move forward.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the city's soccer program for 1 year and to monitor and work with AYSO during that period to continue with AYSO soccer in that time period. Is there further discussion?
Do we want to be specific to discuss or to include on our motion Tiffany's involvement, the involvement here till they're trained, and I think it's wise, more
Yes,
than quarterly involvement. I think you're going to know in 2 Saturdays what's going to happen on the 22nd and on the 25th, or maybe Saturday. So on the next Monday morning, you can after the 22nd, we should have a pretty good idea.
I'll amend my motion to include continued involvement as committed by Mr. Braden and Mr. Van Wagener with monthly communication to the council, the method of your choice, phone, email, whatever works. Does that cover it for you, Councilman Satterthwaite? And with Tiffany's involvement on the board and with direct oversight, helping make sure that things happen.
Would it be too much to ask? I don't know how often your board meets. How often do they typically meet?
Once a month.
Would it be too much to ask that we might get a copy of the minutes forwarded to the mayor and he could share them with us? I think that'd be a good communication thing there.
Do you want to add that to your motion,
I'll add
Councilman?
that to my motion.
So we have an amended motion. Councilman Uri, do you concur with this amended motion that includes 3 major points I'll summarize, which will be ongoing involvement and oversight from our Parks and Recreation Director, Tiffany Staley, regular communication from the AYSO officials, and minutes from AYSO to be forwarded to the City Council.
Well, I think also was the
Their
ongoing
involvement.
involvement.
And the AYSO officials' involvement in providing training to the region.
I'm sorry, is it proper for me to say, not that we not include just myself and Mr. Van Wagener, but like a catch-all AYSO officials or volunteers? Because we've got numerous people that are on board that are helping.
I don't think the motion is specifically expecting you to do everything, but it is expecting the two of you to be directly involved,
okay.
making sure
Points of contact.
making sure that it gets done. I don't care who does it. You two are
There's going to be a lot of delegating.
you're the point of the spear to make sure that this gets through, and you can delegate all you want to. I just want to know that there's a couple of heads that are saying, we're not just relying on one person to get it done, that it's being done, and if it's not getting done, you find somebody that's going to get it done. That's the intent.
We'll report to you
Okay.
with those things.
If I was out of order, I apologize.
Okay, any further discussion then on the amended motion?
Tiffany just stepped into the motion did include her bringing cookies to every council meeting for the next year, correct?
Yep.
Snickerdoodles.
You can assign that to Carl Turner. That's okay with me.
Get Leonard Looney to make those for us.
Okay, then, no
I
further
think
discussion.
we ought to have, tell what the motion was so Tiffany can
Okay.
understand what it is.
So let me summarize the motion then. The amended motion is to suspend the city soccer program that was to be implemented for 1 year period. During that period, we'll be working closely with AYSO to continue the AYSO program and hopefully see that continue to be successful in the city. That's going to involve involvement with you in helping provide some support and oversight to the program on behalf of the city, regular communication with the AYSO officials, and training for this region, and minutes from the AYSO board that will be forwarded to the city council, and then monthly communications from the AYSO officials to the city council, especially as it's starting and what's going on with volunteers and the registration and the program as well. Does that cover everything, Councilman Swanson, Councilman Uri? Okay. So, any comments, Tiffany, you have before the vote? Okay. Thank you.
Any heartburn you have before we vote?
Okay, we'll start the voting with Councilwoman Stoker,
Yes.
Councilman Satterthwaite,
Yes.
Councilman Uri.
Before I vote, I want to just make sure and let Tiffany know, this is not a vote of no confidence in you. As I spoke to you on the phone yesterday, you indicated that you could support either way it went, and so I'll vote yes on this.
Councilman Swanson.
And I'll preface also, Tiffany, by saying that my hesitation has been, I have 100% confidence in your ability to do this. My hesitation has been, I don't have 100% confidence in their ability to get it done. But I'm at a point where I'm willing to give you guys that chance. So no doubt about you, and I'm a yes.
Thank you, Councilman Turner.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Then that motion passes. I just have one comment to make. I think this has been a great discussion. This reminds me of a famous quote from Winston Churchill. Democracy is the worst form of government, except all others that have been tried. And this is democracy. I have a famous quote. If I ever write a book or something, it's going to have this quote in there. Democracy is tension. That's something I always tell to people. And I think that's just how democracy is, because it involves real people saying what they really think, and that's naturally in tension with someone else who has a different opinion, someone else who has a different perspective, someone else who sees things differently, someone else who has a different memory of what happened from a conversation that they both were part of, just like happens with my wife and I when, at the end of one conversation, she thinks one thing was agreed to, and I think something generally the exact opposite was agreed to. So democracy's tension, and I hope everyone that's participated, we appreciate all the input. This is just real government in action. It's real opinions, real thoughts, and we come to a conclusion at the end. So I appreciate everyone on the council who's been involved and all of you who've been involved, because everyone does care about getting the best things for the children, and I think it just takes time and thought to get there. So thanks for coming and participating, and thanks for a great example, even though it's a little late, of how our government works. It's a great system. I respect you all and appreciate everyone's input and perspectives, and every issue that comes before this city of any substance gets the same thorough review from council members who have different backgrounds, different perspectives, and it's all part of this beautiful system that we have in this great country, to be able to have that kind of debate and discussion and then make a plan and move forward. So that's just some closing comments from me on this item. Let's do our public comments again. If anyone has any comments they'd like to add to the meeting, we'd welcome you at this time. Mr. Van Wagener.
I'll add one more quote, and it's relative to this evening by Thomas Edison. Opportunity is dressed in overalls and often looks like work. We've got a lot of work ahead of us, and I look forward to working with all of you. Thanks for this time this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Van Wagener. Okay, let's get our staff. Annette, anything you'd like to add? Okay, John?
Nope.
Okay, Tiffany? Okay, let's start this evening here. Councilwoman Stoker.
Nope.
Councilman Satterthwaite. Councilman Uri.
I would just like to say to you two gentlemen, thank you for coming. And I don't, if you two truly don't get any remuneration for this thing, you gotta love kids because you're dang stupid if you don't. And you're doing this stuff.
Well, I've been accused of being dang stupid. Anyway, so, you know, fancy shirts, does that count as remuneration?
Thank you. Councilman Swanson.
Just an apology to Mr. Braden that if my aspersions towards AYSO as an organization seem to come towards you as an individual, that was not intended. My issues have been not with you, but with AYSO, and so I apologize that anything that I may have said came across personally. It was you as in AYSO, not you as in personally. I don't know you well enough to asperge you.
Thank you.
And thank you for all that you gentlemen do.
I do the same. I got a little testy there.
It gets that way. It's called democracy.
Thank you. Councilman Turner.
There was tension here?
Wake up, Carl.
Couple quick items, completely off topic. Last Thursday, we had a special meeting of the mosquito board. They've done some testing, and larvae are already alive and well. So we upped our larva sighting, and it was just a matter of the board voting to move up. It's not going to cost any more money, just moving up the date. So they were going to start spraying. We had our vote on Thursday. They were going to start spraying Friday as long as the weather was good. So they're going to start larva sighting. They should have started already. Chalk art meeting, we had that on Thursday also. Just something that it's starting to go. We're starting to plan some things, something for the council to remember or keep in mind and think about for the upcoming budget. I talked to budget with the chalk art committee, and as I proposed in the budget to have $5,000 put towards that chalk art festival, I still think that's a good investment for the city. Think about it. I told them I had no idea how you all felt about it. I could give ideas, but just keep in mind, I actually think it's a good investment for the city, and I actually think it's worth that $5,000. So, but the meeting went well. They're already on board. They're already planning on last year. I think they had, I can't remember if it was 100 or 50 artists. I can't remember, but they're talking about 3 times many artists. Last year they had 300, I think, runners in the chalk run. They're going to buy 850 vests, so they're planning on doubling that. So it's really looking great. So anyway, that's it.
And that will be, council, a budget item in the discussion in the RDA. So that'll be on the April 11th budget retreat, something for you to consider.
In the RDA?
In the RDA. We paid for it out of the RDA last year as a redevelopment opportunity for that area, because that entire plaza is in the RDA, and I think it brought significant interest and attendance, traffic into that plaza. So that's where we'll propose to put it again, although you could move it to somewhere else as well. So that will be one of our discussion items. I've got nothing further, so is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. We are adjourned.